Yeah. Well, good morning. Come on.
What up?
And welcome to the
This
Flipside.
is cool.
Yeah,
I like
welcome.
this.
Hey, Derek, my man. Guys, I'm Jason, and I am being
He's
joined.
Handsome. He's handsome.
I am okay. I am all right. I am what they called average. But speaking of handsome, look at this ray of sunshine right here. I'm being joined today by the Derek Mack, joining us all the way from California,
Yes, sir.
from one coast to another, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hey, listen, before we get into this, man, I would love for you just to tell us a little bit, like, so you're born and raised in Virginia Beach, right?
Yes. No, I wasn't born here. I was born in Indiana, but I was raised here. So we probably moved to Virginia Beach when I was like 3 or 4. So yeah,
Gotcha.
basically raised here. And when I was 18, I moved out. But yeah, I was been at Grace for probably since I was 7 or 8 years old. And so yeah, so I've been here for a while.
Yeah,
Know
man.
A lot of people, and so yeah, Grace is amazing.
You happen to come back on the weekend where it's not the warmest. So our sincere apologies for Mother Nature taking.
Yeah, I'll go right back to California where it's always 70 and sunny.
Hey, you know what? Come on. Nothing like suffering for Jesus when it's 70 and sunny. No, honestly, I'd rather be here than the people up in Buffalo. Dude, in upstate New York, they're getting
They're going
crushed.
crazy, pounded with snow.
Like I'm 6'1", and they got like at least that much snow.
Gosh.
Can you imagine?
Can't, honestly.
All right. Well, Derek, we're going to hop into these questions.
Yes.
And for those who are joining us, thank you so much for submitting your questions. I want to encourage, if you have more questions, please, the more, the better. And this is not the only time you can submit questions. Submit questions whenever, and we will answer them throughout the week. We probably won't have Derek the rest of the week, but someone here will answer your questions. Without further ado, let's step into it. All right, Derek, I find it difficult to balance this one. I find it difficult, this one, with response. Let me start again. Sometimes I find it difficult to balance this one with my responsibility as a Christian, but this one is talking about 1 Timothy 3, 4 through 5. We're supposed to know what that reference is, but
We get the question, though.
yes. So I want to fulfill the Great Commission, but sometimes I can't even take care of mine, so to speak. How can a person resolve this type of issue?
Yeah, so I would say a couple of things. Number one, balance is you got to be careful with that word because some parts of the Christian life are completely unbalanced. Like when Jesus says, deny yourself, pick up your cross, follow me. That's everything. That's a totality. Your finances are involved in that. Your relationships, your friendships, everything must come under that. And so, but I understand the question because there's so many different things in life, like taxes or where am I going to live? Who's my future spouse?
It's good.
Where are my kids going to go to school? So all of those things are extremely important to think about as you ponder fulfilling the Great Commission. The first thing I'll say, and I'll highlight this, there's 3 main hindrances for people going. Number 1 is finances usually. Number 2 is relationships within the family. And number 3 is a fear of the unknown, like a fear of the future, so to speak. And I think for those 3 things, I can't answer those things for you necessarily. But I will say this, that financially, Jesus has promised to provide and make provision. Number 2 is with your family, is there are sometimes some tough conversations that need to be had with relationships. If there's something you want to do and maybe they're not for it. And number 3 is you don't know the future of your life anyways, no matter what you think.
That's good.
No matter how you plan it. And so those 3 things, although they're an obstacle, they shouldn't be the thing that interjects into us not fulfilling the Great Commission or not. But I still do my taxes. I go do all those different things too. I just make it my priority that the first things on my mind and my main ambitions of my life serve the Great Commission rather than serve the American system or the American way. So I know that's not super practical, but take with that what you will.
100%. I mean, I love it where it says in the word, like, seek ye the kingdom first and all other, right? And so, like, you can apply that to all of the commandments in terms of even the Great Commission or whatever.
Yes.
And, man, I love, that's a good word, my man.
Thank
well
you.
done.
Thank you.
Wait, you know what? Way to start us off swinging, man. Come on. Let's just, all right, Derek.
I have that's a very normal question. People ask that all the time, so
Yeah?
that's good.
Okay. All right. So you were prepared,
Yeah.
like
That was the easy one.
like Jafar from The Lion King. It's a terrible joke. It's 0 for 2, your boy.
No, he's got it.
Second question. I can't go because of my job. Is it enough to only volunteer locally?
Yeah, I think we all have a calling, and we're all called in some way, shape, or form to go. And in my message, I try to make it clear as possible. I understand because I go so quickly between talking about America and the nations that it can be misunderstood. But going, although you might not be a missionary, if you stay here in Virginia Beach, you can go. You can go to your neighbor. You can go to a different part of the city, and you can volunteer locally, of course. And I would just say this, though. I can't quit because of my job. I think always wanting to know what Jesus' plan is for our life is important before we ever say I can or can't do something. I understand what you mean by that, but I will just say, like, discovering, and you can discover it at 30, you can discover it at 40, doesn't matter your age, you have a calling. And I've seen many people go, I'm giving up my job to go and do this or go and do that. And so definitely not saying you're supposed to do that. I'm just saying let the calling the Lord maybe wants to highlight you through friends. You usually discover your calling through friends telling you things, through maybe you read a verse and God highlights something to you. I want to do that. I want to speak. I want to communicate, or whatever it is. And then, passion, of course. And then maybe you have a crazy experience with the Holy Spirit where you're like, you just know that that I got to go to, wherever, Timbuktu, So that's what I'd say to question number 2.
Why is it always like Timbuktu? Why is it another?
I literally say Botswana or Timbuktu always. I don't know why. It just is the first thing that comes out of my mouth.
We may have to ask Geraldo like another one besides Timbuktu. No, that's great. Yeah, no. Whoever asked this question, thank you so much.
Yes.
Appreciate the question. Yeah. You can go, and it can look like locally,
yeah,
right?
Course,
like you are a missionary. You are to be an ambassador of Christ,
yes.
Whether that is in another country or whether that means like in your neighborhood,
yes.
right?
Yes.
At your job, right?
Yes.
In your community circle, like you are supposed to be a representation of Christ and spread the good news. And so like I would say even the foundation of that question is limiting, because God may be calling you to just Virginia Beach,
yep.
to be
yep.
a light here. Now, ultimately, like God may call you to, and we definitely encourage short-term missions, right?
Yes.
We have our salt,
yes,
salt, whatever, serve and learn trips in which you can go and see what God is doing globally, to see how Christ is moving and working. And you ought to, right? You ought to do that. And
yes.
God may be calling you to maybe full-time.
Yes.
But I know for a fact that He's 100% calling you to where you are.
Yes.
That is a prerequisite of being a Christian, or whatever. Maybe not a prerequisite, but part of the Christian life. Anyways,
yes.
Just to answer it. Look,
yes.
just it's more than enough, right?
Yes.
You are more than enough to do that here.
Yes.
Anyways, just expounding upon.
That's good.
Derek, next question. What if? And I love this question. What if I don't see the promises? It's the holidays and I lost my job and I'm grieving losses.
Yeah. It's a really good question. I think, this is going to go a little bit deeper because I think it's important to highlight. But in America, right, we are really privileged because we have so much. Yeah. Generally speaking, everybody has so much, right? And so the promise that's true for the Christian who lives in the slum in New Delhi has to be true for them just as much as it is true for you.
Wow.
And sometimes we, think like, oh, my personal situation, and we don't realize like God's promises don't just involve our physical situation, although they do. They massively do. Like, of course, if you seek first the kingdom, He will add all these things to you, of course. But we oftentimes forget that He's with us to the end of the age, and that is just as much of a promise. If we had everything we needed, and if we were all never in want or need, then why would it be important for Him to always be with us? You want comfort from a friend when you're uncomfortable.
That's good.
So when the Holy Spirit says that He's a comforter, if I'm already comfortable in my American situation or whatever, then it's hard for the Holy Spirit to be a comforter to me. And so it can both be practical, like you losing your job, and and grieving losses. And I'll just say to you these things. My wife, my father-in-law, who is the leader of the ministry I'm a part of, passed away about a year ago, unexpectedly, and grief is a very unique opportunity for Jesus to meet you in a way that you can't be met outside of that scenario, outside of that situation. Yeah. And I'll just say to you, embrace the love and embrace the power of the Holy Spirit by seeking him and pursuing him before you're just pursuing external things in the midst of loss, in the midst of grief and different things. So that's what I'll say there.
No, that's good. To whomever submitted this question, just know that like I may not know you, and Derek, we may not know you, but like hear us. We are with you. Yes. We are for you. More importantly, God, Jesus is for you. And so, man, like we'll be in prayer. Like the holidays are a unique time, and I was talking about it earlier. Before we sung another song about how the holidays can be a lot of fun. It can be great. In the good time of celebration and coming together, it's also can be very painful for folks. Of course. Like listen and heed the words that my brother just said. Like seek God even in the midst of grieving. And grief is not the enemy. Like
embrace it.
Embrace it. God, Jesus is for you, and He is near to the brokenhearted. Yeah. And so if you are brokenhearted, Jesus is there. He's near. Yes. Anyways, easier for me to say. Yep. It's harder for me to live that, and so I fully understand. I don't want to be like callous towards the situation. Yes. Derek, I'm gonna just double check. I think that may be the last question that we have. Guys, thank you so much for joining Flipside. I know there's been a lot of jokes today about this beautiful exterior of an individual.
My wife dresses me, and if you think I'm lying, I'm fully serious. She picked this outfit today, so don't. I would look like I would look strange.
You did good. You did it. You married up. A
beautiful woman too.
We joked around a lot about like how handsome Derek is, and that's we joke because none of us are really that good looking. But above that, like is a man who loves God, and it's been such a pleasure to be with him today. And man, like find him online. Where can we find you?
You just type in my name on Instagram or social media. You can find me there. And then a lot of my bio has like links to what I do with the ministry I'm a part of. And yeah, if you ever want to be involved in anything we're doing, if you're a young person, you're like, man, that would be cool. I want to do that. I want to go to universities around the world. Then reach out to me on Instagram or something. I'll respond.
Let's go. Thank you for joining us on the Flipside. If you're watching right now or if you're going to watch via playback, I want to encourage you to stay connected with us via all of our social media platforms. We have Instagram, Facebook, GFam, which is on Facebook or whatever. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You get weekly content there, or you can view previous services or messages. Guys, it has been a pleasure. We will see you next week after all the services. Until then, guys, we will catch you on the flip side. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.